Volodymyr Zelensky, a defiant man, insisted Bakhmut is not occupied by Russia after a mercenary group backed by Moscow claimed to be in charge. The G7 summit was taking place in Hiroshima, Japan, when the president of Ukraine made his speech. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the creator of Wagner, had earlier declared victory in Bakhmut. However, a few structures outside the city were still under Ukrainian military control, according to BBC military sources. On the last day of the summit, Mr. Zelensky declined to give specifics during a press conference. However, he claimed that Russia was not occupied of the city as of today, despite the fact that it has seen the bloodiest and longest-lasting battle of the war since August. After some initial misunderstanding regarding his comments regarding the status of the city, he clarified, there are no 2 or 3 interpretations of those words. Wagner's Mr. Prigozhin claimed his fighters, who have led the Russian assault on Bakhmut, were in complete control of the city in a video posted on Saturday. Mr. Zelensky promised a similar reconstruction of his nation, while equating Bakhmut with Hiroshima, which was destroyed by an atomic bomb during World War II. He went to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park earlier on Sunday with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, who was also in the city in 1945, when the bomb was dropped by the United States. He entered a Peace Park auditorium to address reporters after speaking with Mr. Kishida. From the back of the room, a journalist yelled Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine, as he walked in. She was acknowledged by Mr. Zelensky's nod. He compared Hiroshima to Ukraine on several occasions, saying that images of the Japanese city in ruins following a bombing reminded him of Bakhmut in the present. He promised that Ukraine would experience a similar reconstruction and recovery. The man said, now that Hiroshima has rebuilt their city, we dream of rebuilding our cities. Earlier, Mr. Zelensky's statement that today Bakhmut is only in our hearts had caused some confusion regarding Bakhmut's status. Later, his office made it clear that he had not said the city had collapsed. However, the majority of Bakhmut is under Russian fighter control. Since focusing their efforts there for months, the Wagner mercenaries' relentless, expensive strategy of sending in waves of men appears to have gradually weakened Kyiv's resistance. Ukrainian forces say that a tactical withdrawal would be a Pyrrhic victory for the Russians if they did so, but they have so far resisted calls for such a move. Additionally, Mr. Zelensky hinted that his troops were still doing important work nearby. Later, a senior Ukrainian general claimed that Bakhmut's periphery was being advanced upon by Kiev's forces, who were drawing nearer to a tactical encirclement of the city. Analysts claim that Bakhmut is not strategically important to Moscow, but its conquest would represent a symbolic win for Moscow, following the longest battle of the conflict in Ukraine to date. But when Russia fought hard to take Severodonetsk and Lysychansk last summer, Ukraine quickly reclaimed large areas of land elsewhere. Undoubtedly, it will aim to employ a similar tactic in the anticipated counteroffensive this year. The 3-day G7 summit in Japan has been dominated by the conflict in Ukraine, with Mr. Zelensky meeting with a number of world leaders to urge for greater support. His tenacity paid off. At the summit, the US declared that it would permit its Western allies to provide Ukraine with cutting-edge fighter aircraft, including F-16s made in the United States. But as of now, no nation has committed to giving Ukraine the jets. When the BBC questioned Mr. Zelensky about his confidence in receiving F-16s from his allies, he responded, "We will be working on that, I'm sure. This is not a secret, and I am unable to tell you how many." The BBC also questioned him about the start date of his postponed spring counteroffensive. "When we launch a counteroffensive, Russia will notice," he said.